Hey, it's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Love these two on our screen on Zoom and on the radio, Dr. David and Claudia Cantrell there. Hey, guys, how are you?
Good morning. We're fine.
We're
How are
good.
you?
Thanks for having
Claudia,
us.
we're good. Claudia, we had you on the show in studio right before we were all socially isolated. I don't think we saw what was coming, did we, in a sense?
Not at all, because we didn't even mention it. We had no idea that this was going to hit us out of the blue.
Yeah, we had just heard the news. It was going on in Wuhan, I think, and maybe Italy a little bit. But we thought, okay, well, we're praying that's a sad thing, but we had no clue really. David, did you, Doc?
Not at that time. Some of the information that we're getting out of China was not necessarily accurate. So those reports were really questioned, but it didn't take long for this to mushroom.
Yeah. How you guys doing now? You're isolated there in your home. You guys doing okay? You getting along, being with each other all day and night?
Pretty much. I'm still in the office during the daytime, so we're not stuck here the whole time. But yeah, we're doing okay. Trying to help our neighbors out a little bit. We have some elderly neighbors, so Claudia's doing the grocery store runs for them, and otherwise making sure that we maintain the strict social isolation.
Yeah. Now, obviously, both of you guys are in the medical field. Claudia, you've been in the medical field. What do you guys think about this? Was this something like you've ever seen before? How has this hit y'all?
Oh, this is very unusual. We have had epidemic situations with coronavirus type infections previously. That was seen with the SARS epidemic and with the MERS epidemic that was in the Middle East. Those were variants of coronavirus, but not the same one that we have currently. Obviously, from those two, now applying that to this one, this is very respiratory specific. So that's why we're having the respiratory failures and the requirements of so many ventilators for the people who become very ill with it.
Yeah, and it sounds like once it gets in the lungs, there's a fine line of once you get past a certain point, it's hard to come back. Is that correct? And what causes that, do you think?
That's true. It depends on each individual's immune defenses. Since we have virtually no treatment, everything is just symptomatic support. So that's really the sad part. That's why so many of the companies are working toward short-term trials to see if some of these proposed mechanisms are going to work. The long-term answer is going to be vaccination. So when we can immunize the way we can for influenza, that's going to be crucial to preventing deaths in the future.
Dr. David and Claudia Cantrell here. We're talking about what's going on with the pandemic and in their world. What questions are you guys being asked, not only medically, but spiritually?
People are afraid. They're facing their mortality. It's an unknown. You can't see it. You can't feel it. You don't know if your neighbor has it, and people have become very frightened. Claudia talks to the neighbors at a distance. What are they saying to you?
Well, you have a lot of people asking just questions of, do you think this is the end of time? Things like that. We know that the Bible does talk about a lot of the pestilences, which can be massive pandemics at the end of time. It's gotten more and more in the last decade. But it's part of the birth pains, I believe. I think it's part of that. And I think that God is using his power right now to bring people to know him. That's just how I believe it's happening. People, as I said, they are worried about their mortality. They don't know about Jesus. I believe you interviewed just a few weeks ago Greg Laurie, and he said in 2 Sundays, 5,000 people looking at him online accepted Christ. And, you know, it's got to get down to that's the way it is. And they are scared. But, you know, we're coming out to do everything we can to protect ourselves, but we can only do so much. They came out this morning and said that they found out that you can actually give someone this virus by just talking. And so talking and breathing, and that's really scary. So they're saying everybody should wear a mask, but that doesn't really protect you, and you're not invincible. You just simply have to stay within that 6 feet as well and wash your hands. So things are gonna change from this, greatly change from this. But I believe that a lot of people are coming to know Jesus through this.
Now, Claudia, I know you've been doing an online Bible study. Tell us what you're teaching folks with that, and are you talking about this or what?
Well, I'm actually not online with a Bible study, but I am online when I coach.
Okay, I thought you were doing a Bible study with folks as well.
No, I'm not. That's a great
Okay,
idea,
yeah.
but I'm not right. Well, I have some friends doing that.
You
but
should be, yes.
Really? Look at us doing it.
That was the Lord right there, I think.
That was what God thought.
Yeah, how are you coaching folks online, or is it still the same as you were doing before?
Well, it is right now. Just because I'm using the Zoom or I'm using a telephone. But what I had decided to do is that the whole world is just turned upside down, and I can coach anyone from anywhere in the world. It's turned upside down. People are frightened. People their future was planned, and now their future is not planned. Mm-hmm. They don't know if they want the career they were in or not. They don't know what's going to happen. There's even more what's next. What now? So there's a lot of overwhelming. The women are now home. They're doing 3 meals a day. They're not going to work. The children are there. They're trying to get them into homeschooling. It's upside down. Mm-hmm. And they're impacted by that greatly. So I offered to do, and I continue to offer to do a coaching, a one-on-one session, 1 hour a week with women that just want to talk. They want a sounding board. They want to just get it out and find out what possibly is God leading them to. Or, as coaching, we don't tell them, we just really probe, but I'm there for them. And I said for a donation. So I'm not charging anything for that. So if you want to have just a wonderful coaching call with me to just talk, we'll do that. And as I said, it's just a donation. And I'm going to offer that all the way until August the 1st. I think the lingering effects of this, there's a lot of people that are ill and dying. They're dealing with the grief, the grief of the loss of someone they love, not only the grief of the job loss. Maybe they really don't want that job, and they're realizing they're not following their passion. So it's just a way of really giving them some comfort and some encouragement. And I'm certainly here for that.
David and Claudia Cantrell on Zoom and on the radio. I know with Dan and I, we are in the media, so we have to, stay up to date, up to the minute to what's going on. And we want to do that personally. But I think one of the stories that I saw the other day, which just broke my heart in two, is that some of the folks that are getting sick in the hospitals, of course, their families can't see them. Mm-hmm. They die alone. Mm-hmm. And that just breaks my heart. Can you imagine having a parent or a child or a relative in the hospital without you be able to see them or touch them or say something to them, and they perish? That's heartbreaking.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely heartbreaking.
Doc, when we get through this medically, and we want to talk about it spiritually as well, but when we get through this, on the other side of this, and we've gone over the curve, we're getting the immunizations that we need, the shots, the medicine. How will that change us in our attitude? Will it? How do you think?
I certainly hope it changes the attitudes and the perspectives. Mentioning getting over the curve, projections here in Georgia are that we're going to have our substantial increase or the upslope on the curve over the next 2.5 weeks. We're estimating a peak somewhere around April the 20th, April the 23rd, projections based on the models out of New York and from around the world. Our system locally at Wellstar has an aggressive team looking at what the projections are, the needs for ICU beds, ventilators, et cetera. But we've also been discussing exactly what you're talking about, what's going to happen on the other side. I think we're going to see a difference in personal contact as far as shaking hands, hugging, as such as that, realizing that there are contagious things out there that people are going to want to avoid. but we're also seeing changes in approaches to immunizations. The key to preventing this, and it may become cyclical, similar to influenza, is going to be immunization to prevent deaths and severe illness from it, just like people need to get their influenza vaccine every year. Initially, when they first started reporting the COVID-19 data, they would make a comparison to influenza A and B deaths in comparison to what had happened. And very few people realize that we have a lot of influenza A and B deaths. If people get immunized, that dramatically decreases. With that, you're talking about the spiritual effects. It's interesting when I see patients in the office. Patients of faith are very different than patients without faith. Patients who don't have faith have fear, but they have nothing to grasp onto. I have patients of faith who have had COVID-19, had the infection, and recovered, and they've come through it fine. They are not freaking out, etc. Unfortunately, I have also had patients of faith who have died with this. So you're right, it's very, very stressful on the family, but you can see the total difference that people have when they have faith and they have the peace that comes with that.
Yeah, sometimes it takes something like this to remind us we are not in control. God is totally in control, and we may think that we've got it all together and we don't need him, but then it takes something like this to remind us we have no control whatsoever.
That's right.
And this did not hit him by surprise.
No, not at all.
This is sovereignty. This is totally planned.
David and Claudia, Cantrell, we got to go to a break. Both of you, please stay healthy. And Doc, you going in, that just makes me shudder. I'm just going to have to trust God that you're going to just continue to be healthy and safe, because we love you both and we appreciate what you're doing.
Right.
The whole thing with your, of course, your medical, your spiritual. Claudia, give us again the place that folks, ladies can go to get that coaching, will you?
Sure, absolutely. You can go to christiancoachingforwomen.com. And you can also contact me through email at claudia@christiancoachingforwomen.com.
And we're looking forward to you starting that Bible study. So
Absolutely. I'll definitely give that a lot of prayer. I would love that.
Is that going to be men and women? Because Dan and I could attend.
We'll attend via Zoom.
I will definitely let you attend. You're very special.
Hey, we'd like to catch up with you guys in a couple of weeks if it's okay. We'll do the same thing and just kind of take the temperature, see what's going on at that point. It'll be after Easter and pretty close to the time the doc says that I think he said the peak somewhere in there. So let's catch up with you guys and let's take a break. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live. Stay there.